Good day, everybody. You may be seated. My name is Nish Duriappa from Peel Regional Police, and I have the privilege on behalf of all the first responders to begin this event with the land acknowledgement. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather here in the town of Caledon, region of Peel, as part of the treaty lands and territory of Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous peoples have inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and the Ojibwe Chippewa peoples. The land that is also home to the Métis and most recently the territories of the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississauga of the Credit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land and by doing so give our respect to its first inhabitants. And without further ado, it's my privilege to invite the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of the Province of Ontario.
Well, thank you. Well, you know something, when I walked in, I was getting chills. And what an incredible team of first responders. I love each and every one of you. I'll always have your backs. And thank you, Chief, for that introduction. And thank you for the great job you're doing. And it's an absolute honor to be here today alongside my Deputy Premier and Minister of Health. Like, I still call Sylvia the General. You know, we're in her turf. And thank you, Sylvia, for everything you do for our province and supporting myself and our whole team. Minister Kerzner, another great champion, along with Minister Tibollo. He's passionate about mental health. I'm going to rephrase that. Minister Dr. Tibollo. And thank you for all your work, Michael, that you're doing. And of course, Minister McGregor. I always like saying it on the Scottish side, but yeah, he is a great guy, isn't he? So I want to start off by acknowledging and welcoming Chief Nish and Mayor Groves. What a wonderful job you're doing, Mayor. Between the Chair Nando and yourself, this would not have happened. So I want to thank you. Where's the Mayor? There you're hiding. Thank you for all the work, and I also want to acknowledge another very good friend, Mayor Brown. We just made a great announcement out in Brampton, and thank you for the great job you're doing as well. And of course, Connie and her team. You know, I mentioned the chair and the mayor, but it was Connie's vision. And anyone that knows Connie, once she's on to you, you might as well just throw up the white flag and do what she says, because she's just an incredible person, incredible vision. And thank you for your passion and the work that you do at Runnymede, along with Chief Gibson from Peel Regional Paramedics, another great chief, Chief Paleo, I should say, sorry, Chief, from Caledon Fire and Emergency Services, and Rob Grimwood from the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, and James Reid from the Toronto Fire Association. Chief Trung, I encourage you all to go to the dinner, by the way, that I'm going to be heading over there next week from London Police Services. Do an incredible job. John Sorello, I should say. Man, I'm messing up all these names. I apologize. From the Ontario Provincial Police Association. Mark Baxter, Police Association of Ontario. Clayton Campbell from the Toronto Police Association. I always tell Clayton, my mom's maiden name was Campbell, so we have the Campbell clan in the Ford family, and all the representatives from our paramedic, police, and fire service associations right around our province. I also want to thank all the first responders and everyone here at the Bolton station for joining us. It looks absolutely spectacular. We're so grateful that the work you do, for the sacrifices you make each and every single day to keep our communities and people safe. And just as people rely on you, our government wants to make sure each and every one of you, as we say, our heroes, are taken care of when and where they need the support. We recognize that being on the front line poses risks, immense stress, and exposure to traumatic events. But let me tell you, and all the first responders' families, the public doesn't realize, and I say this all the time, so at Christmas, our first responders may not make it home at Christmas because they're working, or on Easter, or maybe a special birthday. I know firsthand with my three son-in-laws that I can never get all three of them at any event because either one, two, or all three are working, and I just want to make sure the public realizes the sacrifices on the families as well. These realities can lead to serve mental health challenges. We've all heard the stats. It's estimated that up to 23% of first responders and public safety personnel suffer from post-traumatic stress injury. That's a much higher rate that the general population sees. And over the past several years, we've seen more and more frontline workers having to step away from their jobs because of their mental health. Or the worst thing that could happen, they keep it all bottled up and they don't have the pride to maybe go to their chief or a friend to say, hey, I'm feeling pressure and I need help. Sometimes it goes to the extreme the other way, and we need to avoid that and give the people the support, our first responders, the support they need. And we're here for the help they need. So today, I'm so excited to announce that our government will be moving forward to build Runnymede Healthcare Center's Post-Traumatic Stress Injury Center of Excellence. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. Thank you. It's well deserved. And everyone in this room is instrumental in doing this. This is a legacy that all of you have put together. This is going to be the first in North America. Just think of that, the first in North America. Building on the $10.6 million we've previously announced for this project, our government will invest in the construction of 2 new facilities, one in Toronto and another right here in Caledon. When complete, the Toronto facility will provide outpatient services, including assessments, aftercare, and recreation programs, I should say, that encourage health and recovery. The Caledon facility will provide 40 residential beds, and you should see this, some of the designs, it's just spectacular. And we want to connect more first responders to evidence-based mental health supports they need in a safe environment, staffed by professionals who understand the challenges of frontline workers face each and every single day. Just imagine a police officer that may need some help, and he may go into a mental health or addiction facility, and the guy he arrested is in the next room. That doesn't cut it. And this is one of many reasons we're doing this. Together, these 2 facilities will provide care for up to over 1,500 people each year, accommodating nearly over 42,000 visits. And over time, the project has the potential to expand even further. And again, I want to thank the chair and Mayor Groves, because not only did they give us a nice, huge piece of property, they went one step further and gave us another huge piece of property. What was it, 30 acres first and then another 30? Yeah, that's absolutely, yeah, it's incredible. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chair. Yeah. Friends, Ontario's first responders always answer the call. They have our backs when we need them most, and our government will always, always have their backs. Again, I just want to thank you, Connie, for your vision and your passion, for all the great work you're doing at Runnymede Healthcare, and for your ongoing commitment and passion to help the women and men in uniform. I just want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and may God bless our first responders, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you so much, and over to you, Connie. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford. And I'm supposed to have the words up there, but I guess I won't read it. My name is Connie Dejak, and I am the President and CEO of the Runnymede Healthcare Centre. Premier, where do you read your words? It's like it's supposed to be up there, and they haven't put them up. I know, is it right? Here we go, I'm winging it. There we are. So, good morning. I would like to say that this is a very impressive crowd here today, and I'm extremely, extremely honored to be amongst you. It really does demonstrate the urgency and the need when you look around the room, and all of the chiefs, all of the fire chiefs, paramedics, the associations who are here, who worked and has been working for the last 4 years with me. They're all here rearranging their schedule. We had one president of the association who had changed a flight twice just to be here because this mattered to them. And this is what they said, what was important. So I'd like to, and I have the distinct honor of recognizing those who are on the podium here today, on the stage here with me. Of course, we know the Honourable Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford. It's like a guaranteed applause, so I can always pause after I say your name. We have the Honourable Deputy Premier, Minister of Health, Sylvia Jones. And I have kind of a funny story about the Deputy Premier. About 3 weeks ago, I got a note, and I think it was late because it was the postal strike, and I opened it up. It was from the Deputy Premier, and she wrote in big letters, "Just get it done!" Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. So, General, it's done. Thank you. No more early morning or late calls saying, "What are you doing?" We've got it done here today. The Honourable Michael Kerzner, Solicitor General of Ontario. And I'm going to bring these two together because it's the Honourable Michael Tibollo, Associate Minister of Mental Health, and the Peel Regional Chair, Nando Iannicca, because 5 years ago, it was before you, the Regional Council, that Minister Tibollo, Minister Tibollo and I had gone forward to talk about this vision. And I just want to say, without that, this would not have started. And in that Regional Council, just so you understand, it is not just Caledon that makes a decision. In fact, Mayor Brown was part of that decision, so thank you very much. The Mayor was part of that decision. The Regional Councillors who are here today, they all came together and said, let's get it done. So I want to thank the two of you very, very much. Mayor of Caledon, Mayor Groves, my gosh, when we put in our planning papers, I've never seen anything go through so quickly in all my life. I want to thank you. She is committed. She is a wizard, and I thank you so much for your ongoing support and commitment. We have the Regional Police Chief, Nish, who is on our board. Nish, thank you so much. You gave, please. And this shows the dedication. We truly did not want to be Toronto-centric. The Premier gave us a very clear mandate, as did the Deputy Premier. And they said, this is not just about Toronto. Be sure of that. So we put Nish on because he's representing Peel, and he brings a perspective. And I think as you look around the room today, you can see that we are not Toronto-centric. We are the province of Ontario for first responders. Today we have fire, police, and paramedics chiefs from across the province. We have such a distinguished group of individuals. Peel Regional Police Association, York Regional Police Association, Ontario Paramedic Association, Ontario Provincial Police Association, Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, and Ontario Association of Paramedic Chiefs. Now, over the last 5 years, we've had the good fortune, to have, and it's an honor, believe me, of creating special bonds and welcomed ongoing support from a very dedicated and small but mighty group of individuals. The first is Greg Horton, from the President of the Ontario Professional Firefighters Association. Greg, where are you? Please stand. You know, did you see for a minute there he thought I forgot him? Did you see? He didn't smile. Look, that's his smile. That's what I see every morning I walk in. So I want to thank you, Greg, and all of your board. This was a lot of winding roads. You were steadfast, and you were always there, and we're here today. So Bob and Greg, thank you very much. We have Ontario Professional Firefighters Association, whose support has been steadfast. And with that, we've had two other very key partners. We have Mark Baxter, President of the Police Association of Ontario. Mark, where are you? Please stand. Thank you for your continued support, Mark. We have the Toronto Police Association. Now, we have the past president, John Reid, here today, who worked with us for the past 4 years. And we have the newly elected president, Clayton Campbell, and Pete Grande, who are here, who we're really very quickly finding out that they are the big allies that we need in order to push this forward. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Where are you? Stand, please. Thank you. Pete, I know you're here somewhere. I just can't see you, but thank you very much. What a spectacular event. This was no easy task. Thank you to the Fire Chief, David Palaio, and the Paramedic Chief and Director, Brian Gibson, for hosting and working so hard to ensure that this event was a success. There were so many people, so many different levels of command, so many different people and associations and municipalities that had to come together. But they came together with a mission, a feeling of purpose. And so I want to thank the Caledon Fire Chief for bringing all those people together. Sir, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. And we have honor guards. I want to thank, look, now they've put up my words. It says, thank you, Sylvia Jones. So I'm not even going to read it. I'm on page 3. We have honor guards. And we had our honor guard, you may not have noted this, but we had paramedics, police, and fire. So that is special because we are here. This program is going to serve first responders as well as frontline healthcare workers. And at a time of uncertainty, if we do not keep together the individuals that make this society great and is the thread that holds us all together in time of crisis, then we all lose. So thank you very much, Premier Ford, for that. RXC's connection with first responders and its understanding of the need for them to receive treatment, as the Premier said, in a non-acute environment led us to develop this centre. We knew that there had to be something different. The centre is designed to address the continuum of services, including assessment, diagnosis, therapeutic treatment, and return to work. This comprehensive, dedicated, coordinated solution to delivery recovery programs and services supports people getting back to work, and if not back to work, back to life. The first of its kind in Canada and North America, as the Premier said. It will have 2 specially designed facilities that the Premier mentioned. The facilities will be, we will offer trauma-informed teams, we will provide them, and clinicians will be fully aware of the unique professional cultures and needs of first responders. Our focus is to provide models of care to promote healing and wellness and empower first responders through their journey. We have Dr. Candice Munson, who is leading our clinical team. Candice, please stand. The 2 facilities are solely dedicated to the first responders and their families and will be supported by friends and colleagues. These dedicated facilities will ensure timely, appropriate access to care with a focus on wellness. throughout their professional career and beyond, which is really important because when a first responder retires, things don't change when they're going through difficulty. We will have one of the most robust alumni programs to continue to support their family throughout their journey. I see a lot of heads nodding. I've come to that conclusion having a retired husband who was a 33-year firefighter. They will foster a strong, welcoming community with ongoing connection, a connection to the life and the job that they once loved. We will be a leader in research, education, and innovation, accelerating the translation of evidence-based clinical care into practice, and it will be used to improve services across this province. Now, Premier, on a personal note, you know this journey began with a vision, a belief we can do better for our first responders and their families. On June 29th, 2018, when the people of Ontario elected a new government led by you, Premier Ford, we saw a responsive, caring, decisive leader who, with everybody and like everybody in this room, believed in his heart that we could do better. And Premier, I'm going to say from the bottom of my heart, you made this happen. Thank you very much. Sir, because of you and the fantastic team that you work with, the next time a colleague, a friend, or a family member in the first responder community looks at one of us, one of their friends, one of their loved ones, and they have that glazed look of helplessness, we will have a solution, a supportive, seamless pathway to healing. Thank you. Now, I'm honored to be here today and joined by all of you. I feel humbled. I truly do. I feel like this is something so much bigger than everyone in this room. But I'm also very proud to be here. Oh, I'm sorry. With my husband, Tom, who was a 33-year firefighter, my son, Calvin, our daughter, Caitlin, her husband, Peter, my two grandchildren, Ari and Ellie, who are on this journey with us all, my niece and nephew, both of who are serving. Actually, my niece was part of your detail, sir. But don't hold that against her. We are all part of your community. So I can speak from the heart and with conviction when I say, Premier, God bless you and thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Connie, and it's going to be my privilege to introduce my right-hand person, Deputy Premier. But before I do, you know how you get speeches and you end up forgetting, or not forgetting, but you read a speech? Greg Horton and Bob, thank you. I didn't see your name. Where are you, buddy? From both of them, were there from day one. It drives me crazy when I get a speech. I'm just reading it off, and half the people are left off. So anyone that we forgot, I apologize, but you're all part of the team. But as I was saying, I'm so blessed to have the greatest deputy I could ever ask for, Minister of Health, that is changing lives for people by increasing healthcare spending by over $33 billion, instrumental in building 50 sites. It's never been done in the country, 50 new hospitals, and also leading the charge in our hometown for this incredible announcement. I'm very grateful for our friendship and your leadership. Sylvia, better known as the General, and there's a reason I call her the General. Anyways, come on up and say a few words.
Thank you, Premier Ford, and welcome to Caledon. It is amazing to be able to join you here today, and of course, always being able to welcome Premier Ford, Minister Kerzner, Associate Minister Tibollo, to beautiful Dufferin-Caledon, Graham McGregor, of course, who's doing excellent work on the auto file. I want to talk about and share our progress our government is making to expand access to mental health supports for our first responders by building Runnymede Healthcare Center's Post-Traumatic Stress Injury Center of Excellence for first responders. I also want to thank and take a moment to recognize Chief Brian Gibson, representing the Ontario Association of Paramedic Chiefs, Catherine Hambleton, Bob Kennedy, representing the Ontario Paramedic Association, and many of Ontario's world-class first responders and community partners who have made today's announcement possible. As Minister of Health and MPP for Dufferin-Caledon, I should say, as MPP for Dufferin-Caledon and Minister of Health, I'm excited that Caledon will be the home to one of the centre's 2 new facilities, creating Canada's first dedicated post-traumatic stress injury treatment centre for first responders. Our government's support of Runnymede's PTSI Centre of Excellence project is another way we are building a more connected and convenient healthcare system and improving access to the mental health supports tailored to the needs of first responders, supporting them on their journey to wellness and recovery. Thank you to all of our first responders and public safety personnel for your extraordinary service and dedication to the people of Ontario. This centre is an acknowledgement of the support that you have under Premier Ford's leadership and our government. And it's now my honour to pass the podium over to Minister Kerzner to share a few words. Stay well, everyone.
Well, Connie, you are a force of nature. And I have to tell you, you're a treasure to Ontario. Thank you so much. And good morning, colleagues and honored guests. I want to open by acknowledging Premier Ford. Under your leadership, Premier, you've set the precedent to never be afraid or apologetic to do the right thing. And as I like to say, exactly what you say. We will always have the backs of everyone that keeps Ontario safe. So here in beautiful Caledon, the shovel will literally meet the road. And to get anything done, you have to have a vision and optimism, and you can never be timid or hesitant. And you, Premier, have an incredible knack of seeing the future to make things happen. In just a few years, I've had the honor of being part of your vision. This incredible project that has now come so much closer to life in partnership with a first-class organization like Runnymede and supported by our first responders is proof that we have stakeholders who believe in this project like you, that we need to live in the arena, that we must be bold and daring. When others have told us to stop, we kept going. When others told us to sit, we stood up. When others told us this vision could never become reality, we continued to prove them wrong, and we get it done. I want to thank everyone here today to recognize that we owe an unpayable debt to our first responders, to our police officers and our paramedics, to our firefighters, correction, probation, and parole officers. I'll never forget those amazing 911 call operators and everyone else that keeps us safe. You see, in the darkest days, their resolve and commitment helped our province find our way. They kept us safe even when their own well-being and lives were put at risk. But the truth is, this isn't the only. They didn't do this only on the dark days. They put service over self every day. So we owe them a debt, and this debt must be paid through our utmost honor and respect. This first of its kind respite of care, especially that will be built right here in Caledon, acknowledges the mental wellness, that mental wellness is critical and crucial to the success of one's well-being. And today's announcement is part of our government's investment and mental health supports for public safety personnel. And this is deeply personal to me. Learning from Connie and her team at Runnymede Health, it has brought me closer to what really matters. I love serving in the legislature as a representative, as the MPP for York Centre. I love serving as Ontario Solicitor General and interacting with so many first responders. But I see the bigger picture, and that's why I love my province even more. Because we've worked with determination to make today's announcement a reality. In the world right now, it's obvious there are serious problems that need to be solved, and we need a serious leader to help guide us. Premier Ford, I'm proud to be part of your government, serving with my colleagues, and we will never apologize for standing up for the people of Ontario. We will never apologize for being innovative. We won't apologize ever for having the backs of those that keep us safe. And to them, I want you to know this. We will stand with you, so we always have, so we always will. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Miigwech. It's my pleasure to call my colleague, my friend, the Associate Minister, Michael Tibollo.
Good morning, everyone. It is truly a pleasure and an honor for me to be here this morning. You know, back in 2018, I had the privilege of being the Minister of Community Safety and Corrections. And I remember some of the visits that I had to our corrections facilities, to night rides that we used to do with the police, and visiting fire stations, paramedics. And over again, I kept on seeing that look, that glazed look on people because that were serving us, that seemed to want something more. And that something more was to make sure that they had the appropriate resources to help them with many of the challenges that they have as a result of the work they were doing. And that started a conversation. It started a conversation first with the Premier, that I thank always for listening to me, because sometimes when you dream, you need to have someone give you that reality check. And I remember the only thing he said to me was, "Get it done." And that was the beginning of the conversations with Connie. That was the beginning of so many other things that took place with the chair back then, Nando Iannicca. And we started dreaming together with a vision of trying to do something that would be transformational for the people that were serving us. Because at the end of the day, you know, a lot of times we take for granted what it means to put that uniform on. Because for us, we just know that when we get up, we go to work, we come back, and it's safe, and we're okay. But we don't remember or don't realize that someone is keeping us safe and doing that. And I can say that for me, it was almost a challenge that needed to be met to do something more. And that something more was exactly the direction that we're going. Because as was said by the Premier, you need to have your own space. You need to have that sense of security, that sense of being able to talk to one another. And of course, putting on a uniform always gives you the challenge of having to deal with the stigma that comes with mental health, that comes with those challenges. You know, at the end of the day, it's hard to get over that suck it up attitude, especially because everyone expects you to always perform at the highest level possible, but at the same time doesn't take into account those vulnerabilities that you all have. At the end of the day, the last time I checked, you're all flesh and blood, the rest of us are. And so taking that into account and doing something that's appropriate and that's right and just is exactly what this government under the leadership of Premier Ford has done. And I can tell you, you know, sometimes people say, well, how do you know how bad it is? How do you know? Well, I get a lot of phone calls, and the phone calls that I get are phone calls that I don't really want to get. But I get them and I deal with them. And one of the ones that I want to relate to you, because I think it'll hit home to everyone. I recently got a call from a woman that was telling me about a police officer who attended to help a 14-year-old girl that was in psychosis. He took her to the hospital, he brought her home. The hospital wasn't able to do anything because they didn't think that she was a harm to herself or a harm to others. So he took her home. The situation was such that the girl was asked to leave, and again, the police were called, and it was the same first responder. He took her back to the hospital. The hospital said, "Why are you here?" And off the girl went because, again, a 14-year-old has the right to decide whether she is or isn't sick, whether she does or doesn't need help. And so off she went, only to have the police officer have to do a third call. And this time it was to take her down from a tree. So when I think about that situation, I think about the girl who lost her life. I think about her family and having to deal with the grief that she suffered. But what about that first responder who has to go home to his family? How about his family and what they're going to have to go through as a result of that? And you know, again, you can say, suck it up. But we all know you're flesh and blood. And so you need to have those resources. You have to get over that stigma that we shouldn't be talking about our mental wellness. And for me, doing what we're doing here today, announcing what we're announcing here today, turning that dream into reality is something that I believe is going to be transformational for all of you, but for all of us as well. Because the last thing we want are police officers and corrections officers and firefighters and paramedics, and the list goes on and on and on, that don't have the ability to get the supports and stay well, because everyone deserves to be well. And with that, I just want to thank Connie. Actually, I've acknowledged, and I want to thank the entire team, our Deputy Premier, the Minister of Health, our Solicitor General. They all wear their hearts on their sleeves, and they all work really, really hard. And we all work together as a team to make sure that we're doing the right things for the people of Ontario. But I'd be remiss to not talk a little bit about Connie. She's been acknowledged a few times. I remember when I first met her, I thought to myself, you know, this woman is a real dreamer. But you know, a person who has vision and doesn't take action, when you stop to think about it, that's where it kind of stops. They're dreamers. Now, she is a dreamer, but she's much more than a dreamer. And when you think about people that take action, but they don't have a vision, those people are kind of meandering. They really don't have a result. They don't have a place to go. They don't know the direction that they're going. But when you combine dreaming or vision with action, you have transformation. And what's happening here today, what our Premier has done for the province of Ontario, is be transformational on every front in the province of Ontario, whether it's housing, whether it's hospitals and healthcare, any one, long-term care, any area, including the area that I'm responsible for, mental health and addictions. We are where we are as a result of him, and I want to say thank you for letting us dream. Thank you for letting us have a vision and implement that vision under your leadership and bring transformational change to for the people of the province of Ontario. Thank you very much.
Oh, Connie, thank you. Michael, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Nando Iannicca, the chairman of the Region of Peel, and want to acknowledge my police board friends that are here. Samita Kohli, my vice chair, Al Bolton, and Len Carby, who a couple of hours ago made me police board chair again, so thank you very much for that. It's an honor. I got to tell you, it's an honor to be standing before you and celebrating this transformative investment by the Government of Ontario. It's an investment that will have a profound impact on the mental health and well-being of our first responders. By supporting the creation of this first of its kind mental health rehabilitation center, you are demonstrating not only that you care for these who protect and serve our communities, but you also have a dedication to building a healthier, stronger Ontario. Peel Region is proud to be the future home of this vital resource, which will provide first-class care and support to police officers, paramedics, nurses, firefighters, and other first responders who sacrifice so much to keep us safe. And Premier, I'll remind you, of all the words that have been said, no one today has said COVID. Do you remember that? Do you remember what that put us through? Well, do you know what it put first responders through? I also wear the hat as the chair of the Board of Health for the Region of Peel, and we still have people suffering because they didn't take the time off. They had to work twice as hard, our healthcare providers, to get us through that, and they're still suffering, many of them. And I want to know that, I want to acknowledge that, and that isn't forgotten. So this initiative is not just about treatment, it's about ensuring that those who dedicated their lives to serving us have the support that they need to heal and recover. And so before I go, I'm afraid the music's going to start like at the Academy Awards, because if I had to thank everybody, I'd be here a long time and I'd get the hook. But I just want to say some thank yous. My first thank you to Michael Tibollo, who I met 39 years ago as a graduate from finally finishing university, and he and I sat on a charitable project for affordable housing for seniors. And many, many years later, our paths would cross. He said, Nando, you're chair of the region of Peel. He says, you've got to come and see me and meet Connie because we have an initiative, this initiative. And as soon as they were done, I said to them, you had me at hello. I love this initiative. What do you need? A piece of land. And I said, are you kidding? I've got, you know how much land I have? I had no idea if I had any land. But I got back in the car, gratefully didn't run into our OPP friends as I sped back to the office the week before Christmas. I said, staff, we need a parcel of land. And staff came back with 2, and I said, no, 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 this is the one. Called Connie and Michael back Christmas Eve and said, we're done, I have your land. I said, Nando, it's been 24 hours. I go, don't worry, I have the power to encumber my organization as CEO. I will get it through council, but I'm telling you, you're not talking to anybody else because we have your land. So I thank my regional councillors and the mayor, 2 of which are here, Mayor Parrish. I saw Christina early. I saw Mr. Russo is here, Mario as well, that unanimously endorsed the proposal, and there was the first tranche of land, some 27 acres. And so we got started on the work. Mayor Groves has been invaluable. She's embraced it, and her whole team. Nathan Hyde is here. I want to acknowledge them as well. You know, the fastest rezoning ever, because they quite cleverly realized, and I zoned land for 30 years because my first 30 years was as a councilman in Mississauga, a drugless practitioner under old planning laws permitted anywhere. Well, this is kind of like a drugless practitioner's facility, so we're not lining up for 3, 5, or 7 years to zone it. I would argue that it's zoned, and the mayor and Mr. Russo did all the heavy lifting with our Caledon friends to say, you're zoned. So Premier, it's zoned. It's ready to go. Yep. Connie Dejak is a force of nature. Connie Dejak is a force of nature, and I worked with one for a while. She sat next to me for 26 years. Her name was Hazel McCallion. Connie, you are her rival, and I've never said that of anyone. Oh.
That's okay.
So that's
Yeah. I would just like to remind, this is a live hall, so if there is an alarm, don't crowd the doorways. We're safe.
Okay.
They'll do what they need to do.
Thank you. I carry on in thanking Connie. I want to give an honorable mention to Kara, who works for Connie, but I kind of seconded Kara because I saying we've got so much work to do, and so she sort of unofficially has worked for me in bringing all these things together, and your liaison between all the parties involved has been invaluable. Hear, hear. Minister Kerzner, thank you. Minister Kerzner, again, I've been at this 37 years, is the greatest friend policing has ever had in the history of Ontario. Remember, I've worked with all the parties. I've been around with the NDP, the Liberals, and the Conservatives. And Peel Region has no finer friend than this minister. And in a time when we need more police, and I thank my colleagues for approving a budget yesterday that added 300 officers, and at a time we can only get 60 through the police college, the minister said, if it's for Peel, I will get your 300 officers through the college. Deputy Premier Jones, Premier, you call her the general. I call her my guardian angel. When the book is written about Peel and the history that I know of, no one has done more during very tumultuous times to help us navigate these waters. And you're the dearest friend Caledon has ever had. You've become a great friend to the regional chair. We'd be lost without you. When the first tranche of land was given, Premier came back, and it's tough when you're in the Premier's backyard, as Mayor Groves and I were, and he goes, Nando, we need another piece of land. I go, well, I've got another 17 acres. And I go, but Premier, the good mayor said, but I need a better access point. The Premier shook our hand and said, you will have it off of the highway. Another $7 to $9 million. On a handshake, it was done, and we gave another 17 acres of land. By the way, the parcel of land on a bad day off of a highway and tableland with no floodplain on a bad day is worth $60 million, just so you know. So that was the commitment from the region. And it was Minister Jones, Deputy Premier, who navigated those waters because, as was said earlier, giving the commitment is one thing, getting the work done is another. And she's been the guardian angel behind the scene that has seen this through every step of the way. But my last and greatest words are left for the Premier. I could say a lot. I'm going to give you a very important personal anecdote, something I will never forget. Premier lost his mother. So many of us attended the funeral. So there I was to pay my respects. And as we're going through the line, huge crowd of people, as you can imagine. So I got a lot of time to talk to his family and the closest people to him, his daughters, his wife. And when I got to the front of the line and I gave the Premier a hug, gave my condolences, I said something to him, and his wife said, say that again. That was very particular. I go, I've been at this a long time. I go, my greatest disappointment with public office is people think you're the person you see on the screen, the person that battles, the person that the press gets into it. What they do is they confuse what we do with who we are. What we do is fight. That's the job. We fight for our constituents, we fight for time. But at the end of the day, who we really, really are, Doug is a father, a husband, loves his family immensely, loves this province immensely, loves this country immensely, and loves his first responders above all else. And so there it was shortly after that his wife said, that means so much to me that you would couch it in those terms because everybody sees the public figure and doesn't realize who you really are. So paid my respects, I left. 2 days later, a letter is delivered by courier to me. Handwritten letter, I opened it up. It's from Premier Ford. Remember, he's burying his mother. Said, Nando, your comments meant so much to me that you would couch them in those terms at that tender moment. They mean the world to me. Thank you for your service to the region. Thank you for your service to this facility. Premier, it's not you should be thanking me or any of us. We thank you for your service. We thank you for this becoming a reality. And I hope you will be serving us for many, many years more. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge our councillors that are here with us. We've got Regional Councillor Mario Russo, Regional Councillor Christina Early, Councillor Sheen, Councillor Mascal, Councillor Napoli, Councillor Kiernan. We could have a council meeting right here, right now. I want to first begin in thanking Connie. We heard what a force you are. You are relentless. You are tenacious, and you get it done. So thank you, Connie. I also want to acknowledge my friend and my colleague, Mayor Brown. Mayor Brown is a strong supporter of our first responders. He has been a great advocate for all of you. And yesterday at Regional Council, on behalf of the 3,500 men and women that serve Peel Regional Police, Mayor Brown, thank you for your unwavering support of all of those men and women, and we were very proud to support them, so thank you, and to the Police Services Board. We talk about a vision. Mayor Kerzner, Deputy Premier, and our MPP, Minister of Health, Sylvia Jones, thank you for your support. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your dedication. Minister Tibollo, thank you, and Dr. Tibollo, for understanding what these men and women have to deal with on a daily basis. Thank you for your support and your commitment. Most of all, we talked about a vision, but how fortunate are we to have a premier that understands what it means to support every single one of you in this room today, but not just you, but also your families. We need to recognize the families, your children, your grandchildren, your sons, your daughters, all of you that lend us your husbands, your wives, your children, your grandchildren. Thank you to the families. Thank you for lending them to us. Premier, thank you for your vision. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment. We had a community meeting. Connie, you remember that meeting quite well, and our chair remembered that meeting. The room was angry, but we calmed them down. And one of the things they said is, we don't want these vehicles coming through our neighborhood. We made that very clear to the Premier. And the Premier said, don't you worry, it won't happen. So thank you, Premier Ford, for making sure that our residents and our neighbors to this wonderful, wonderful facility will still enjoy their peace, their quiet, and their quality of life by approving that access off Highway 9. But not only did he do that, but the neighborhood also said the existing access is not safe for us. He listened as well. And so thank you, Premier Ford, for listening to all of us and to the neighbors and to our residents in that area, and for bringing this wonderful, a lot of firsts for Caledon, another first for Caledon. How amazing is that? To our staff, our planning staff, under the leadership of our CAO and our Chief Planner, Eric Lusick, they have been absolutely amazing, outstanding in making sure that this project was expedited, got through the process without any hiccups. Kara, you are a shining star. You have worked so hard, always with a smile, tirelessly in the background, making sure this all comes together, and how wonderfully it came together. Thank you, Kara. Our chief, Dave Palayo. I watched Dave. Dave, you started with us as a volunteer. And I don't know, how many years have you been with fire service?
22 in total, 16 with Caledon.
22 in total, 16 with Caledon. I was elected 25 years ago on Caledon Council. I had the privilege to watch this chief start out with us as a volunteer firefighter and worked his way up through our fire service, and he is now our chief, and we are so, so very proud of him. So thank you, Chief Palayo, for the leadership. Natalie Major, our inspector and our detachment commander for Caledon OPP. Thank you, Natalie, for your service. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for leading our fine men and women with Caledon OPP. Thank you so much. I'm going to take it down to the reality about why I support the first responders, why you have my commitment, and why I am steadfast in my commitment. Yesterday at Peel Regional Council, we heard from a mom and dad who lost their daughter through IPV. Intimate partner violence has become a huge, huge issue for us. And I'm sure we see it here in Peel, not just in Peel, but I'm sure we see this all over Ontario. Listening to the mom and dad who lost their absolutely young, beautiful daughter to IPV really brought reality home of what you do out there. We heard from another lady, a resident of Mississauga, who also suffered, was abused, her children from IPV. That brought reality right home to me. I watched my mom, well, I didn't, I was 2 years old, so 55 years ago, my father held a gun to my mother's head. My mother survived and raised her 6 children. 45 years ago, my mother-in-law, her husband, held a knife to her throat. She is still here, raised her 4 children, but because of the men and women that provide service, that serve and protect all of us and our family, That is why my mother was able to survive and raise her children and my mother-in-law. You will recall a few years ago there was an accident. It involved some children in Vaughan, a grandfather, a mother. My friend was the coroner who had to pronounce that day. He said to me, it was the worst time and the worst incident that he's ever had to be at, because while he was there, the only thing he could think of were his children, his father. His wife is also a first responder. She's a police officer with York Region. The first responders that were there, it was absolutely devastating for them. They all needed support. They all needed help. And because we have this center, a first in Caledon, and because we have folks sitting on this panel, we are now able to provide that service that these first responders and their families need. And to make sure that when we call you and our loved ones call you, that you are well emotionally, mentally, and that you are prepared to rescue and to serve and protect every single one of us. And for that, you have my undying commitment, gratitude, and support always. Thank you for all that you do.
Sure. Come up and say a few words, Mayor.
I didn't know I was going to be called up, but I just want to say how grateful we are to have a premier and a government that supports first responders. We need to take mental health as seriously as we do physical health. And the fact that our first responders across the province run towards danger when everyone else runs away, there's a debt of gratitude. We want to make sure you're okay. This recovery center is beautiful. Chair Iannicca, we were all proud to unanimously support this initiative and grateful to have a province that has the generosity and the vision to build something like this that'll be first of its kind. And I remember being a Barrie councillor a very long time ago and going to a funeral for a firefighter that lost his life running into a basement fire. And his brothers around him, his peers, they never recovered. And you look at the paramedics that go to that roadside fatality. I remember the president of the London Police Association, Dan Axford, told me he had to hold a child in his arms while that child lost his life. You're heroes. First responders are heroes. We need to make sure you're okay. And it's just wonderful to be in a province that recognizes that and to have a premier that says he has your back. Proud to be here today.
Now, we're very fortunate to have many great leaders that have supported this. I have to tell just a funny story about the general. Opa, do you want to come? That's my grandson, Ari. I thought he was running for me, my mistake. But anyways, the deputy premier used to phone me on her way into work to get progress updates, and she'd be in the car. And I think it took me about a month to realize that when she called me early morning, I didn't have to be standing in my office because I was the only one. But she would call, and I would stand up there, and I'd be standing there. Yes, General. Yes, General. No, I'm doing this, General. Yes, General. Literally. But she wanted to get it done. So I do want to say I appreciate those calls. I appreciate your navigation. And we will be coming to you again as we pull together all these services. Because what Runnymede Healthcare Center will do, which we talked about with all the associations and the chiefs, is be the hub, and then the spokes will go out across the province. And that's what needs to happen, a coordinated service. So thank you very much, Deputy Premier. I do want to just say one quick note. When a CEO of a hospital goes before her board and says, I have a vision, I believe this little sliver of mental health should be under rehabilitation, because with this population, It is about getting people back to work and back to life. It should not be under acute care. It should not be under mental health. It should be under rehab. That takes a special board. And I have 3 members of my board here today that I want to recognize: Lauren Sucker, Paul Pugh, and Michael Watts. Please stand, because I think you should acknowledge the people who made the first decisions. Thank you. I also would like to acknowledge 2 people on staff who did make it happen and make everything happen, not just today's event, but Coordination Plus. And that is Marina Rochon, who does work for me directly, and God love her, she just is so nimble. So Marina, thank you so much. And then a few people up here have mentioned Kara Ford. Kara, come here. Come here. Well, Kara's here, and she has worn her heart on her sleeve. And I'll tell you something, she can get a response. The Premier has said that we're one and the same, and I think we are. We both have passion and vision, but you have a dedication second to none. And we have her partner here today, Aidan, who's a police officer, so I want to please give them both my note of thanks. One final note, I want to thank the Chief of Mississauga. She has brought out her electric fire truck. So that is impressive. So thank you, Chief. And please, everybody look at the electric fire truck. It is wonderful. I don't know how many there are in the province, but we have one here, and I'm quite impressed with that. And she was so quick to offer that up. So Chief, thank you. I can't see you, but thank you so much. And also a special note of thanks to the VPs and the clinical team and all of my team at Runnymede Healthcare Centre. It does take a team. So I want to thank you, Karima, I see you over there, and Kevin and Ivo. All of us, we're a very small but mighty team. I want to thank you so much for all your work and dedication. Thank you. And now I think that concludes all of it. Premier Ford, thank you again. The ministers, thank you again. And I would just say we need this leadership back to get it done.